Well, let's see if I can do this one. I've been doing some number doodling, and I found something interesting with the Lucas set of numbers to do with Christmas again. You may, if you've watched the channel for a while now, you will have heard me talk about a certain number jump, which is if you look at Lucas numbers here, right? Okay, and I'm sorry we're diving straight into this. For new people, if you don't know what this chart is, again, you're going to have to go back and check that video out. But we're dealing with a set of numbers called Lucas numbers right here, which you can go and look up for yourself. They're a real thing, okay? Not just something that I've made up. But anyway, if we look at Lucas numbers, and we go from, if we take this first three numbers and we just make that into a date, so it's the 13th of February, and then what we do is we take these numbers here and we add all of these numbers together, we will get a total for these numbers of 315. Okay, and so if we take and add this 315 days onto 213, onto the 13th of February, that will take us to Christmas. Okay, and again, what we're dealing with here is the start. The start is right, is in this, right here, and then the end of a cycle, the finish, is 10. Okay, and this is what we get. We get a number jump. This is pretty interesting. A number jump built into this code here that takes us to Christmas. Okay, the 25th of December. So that's one of the first interesting things about 213, okay, and Lucas numbers and Christmas. But it gets better than that, right? Because you've probably heard me say many, many times that the balance point in this whole table is this point here that I'm putting in the that dot there. Okay, that's the center point of the table. Even though it doesn't look very centered, that is the center point of the table. That's the balance point of the table, right? We can do something very interesting here. I'm going to show you how Christmas now links to 9/11 and also to Pluto and numbers that relate to Pluto. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add up this first lot of numbers here. Okay, up to the balance point, right? And so if we add 2, 1, 3, 4, 7, and 11, right, we will get 28. Interesting number. Makes me think of the film 28 Days Later. Okay. Also, and it also makes me think of that Madonna Ghost Town video. There's a 28 or an 82 in the. I'm sure it's a 28 or 82 in the background there. Anyway, if we add up, where do I want to go to now? Right away over to here. Okay, we're going to go to the 12 because the 12 was also to do with completion of a cycle. Okay, and we're going to add up all of these numbers now. Okay, and so if we add up all of these numbers right here, okay, we'll come to these numbers all add up to 814. Okay, so these numbers add up to 814. So we've got a total here for 814. This total over here is 28. So if we now go back to something that I've talked about quite a number of times, is the fact that this 1118 can be changed into the number 29. It can be changed into the number 218, or it can be changed into the number 119 or 911. Okay, so if we basically, by just reducing either one of these separately, either the 11 or the 18 separately, or you could do it combined and get a 29 as well. But what we're going to look at is we're going to look at 9/11, because that's the big number, isn't it? You know. So we're going to put 9/11 at the center of this thing. So this will be 9/11 here now. Okay. Which again is a reduction of this 18 down to a 9, and we've just left the 11 as is. So 9/11, okay, and I think if you're watching this channel, you've probably heard people talking about the idea of 9/11 being related to the birth of Christ, okay. I personally think it's actually what is happening there is it's like the birth into it is like the physical birth of the man or Christ, but into the wrong system, into the matrix. So immediately at birth, this is what happens to everybody. Immediately at birth, a fictional character is generated, okay, which is the birth certificate person. That fictional character becomes the assumed identity of each and every one of us. That fictional character is a dead entity. So we assume a dead persona at that point, okay? We are essentially dead at that point, okay? So we're born into a false system, into the death cult that is the legal system, that is the matrix. This is what 9/11, I believe, represents. So even though it has a, you know, a link to the idea of the birth of something that is spiritually correct, and the number itself, depending on the context of what we're looking at, could be a negative or a positive thing, right? And obviously, when when the number 11, which is all to do with balance, is removed from our reality, okay, that's obviously, in my eyes anyway, a negative thing. So anyway, from this point here, what we want to do is we want to look at some number jumps with this 814 and this 28. Okay, so let's go to a number jumper. Oh, this was the 213, 315 days, takes you to the 25th of December, in case anybody was wondering. And so we've got in the number jumper on this one, we've got September the 11th, 2001, and we are going 28 days back. Now look where the 28 days previous takes us. 814. Yeah, August the 14th, 814 is 28 days previous. Back to the chart. So 28 days previous to this point here is 814. Okay, 28 days later is 9/11. So 28 days later, that film may just be a straight reference to 9/11. If you know, it would be interesting to go and look at the numbers on the film, whether the 814's referenced or not in some format or some other number to do with Pluto, because we're going to see that there's 28 and the 814, how that relates to Pluto in just a minute. Okay, you can probably see the numbers in there already, but and of course we've got this 814. So let's go back to the number jumper and let's stick 814 in there. Okay. So anyway, I got it in the number jumper now, because I just managed to remember what I was trying to do. So it makes this year a very special year in terms of that 814, because we can simply put a 0 on the end to make this work. Okay, that's a bit of fudgery, but it's still 814, numerologically speaking. And that takes us to the 25th of December this year. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. We got that 814 jump now, taking us to Christmas. We just had to stick a 0 on the end, and that will take us to Christmas this year. Okay, that to me is pretty interesting. I don't know about other people, this whole thing is pretty interesting. So I will show you just two more things, right? The first thing to note is that the total, if we add these two numbers together, the 814 and the 28, yeah, our total is 842. Okay, this relates in the table to this number here, as every number in this table, every number you see has a counterpart that is one digit less, and that is the total up to this point here, up to the 322. If you total all these together, okay, it's 842. So again, kind of interesting, especially as we're in the 14th column here as well, with the 14s flying around. What else did I want to say about this? So, of course, you will know that most people will know that Mercury, what the hell, Pluto has the 248-year orbit. Okay, but here's the big but. That's the sidereal orbit. Okay. I'm kind of also interested in the synodic, if I'm saying that right, orbit as well. What we see, okay, well, what we can observe fairly relatively easily ourselves, and that is, let's go to the thingy. Let's go to Pluto. We've got Pluto up here, and if we come down and we look at the synodic, hope I'm saying that right, orbit, it is 366.73 days. Okay. Now, if we do 366.73 minus 365.25, what that's going to give us is a number which is, should we get rid of some of this off of here so I can see what we're doing? So that will give us a number of 1.48 days difference. Okay, that's 1.48 days difference between a regular solar year and Pluto's orbit. Okay, so you see why this is interesting, and why when this adds up to 842, this is interesting, yeah, with the 248-year orbit of Pluto. Okay, you see how, in Back to the Future, so let me mention this. So in Back to the Future, we have the Pluto reference. We have a ton of Pluto references, right? The plutonium. But right at the start of Back to the Future, I'm gonna tell you this one again. I've decoded this several different ways, but the clock's being late or being off by 25 minutes. Okay, the clocks are off by 25 minutes. So the time we get at the start of Back to the Future is 8:25. Yeah. Another way of looking at 8:25 is 8.25. Okay, 8:25. We can infer 25 as a quarter as well. Obviously, it's not a quarter when you're looking at a clock, but obviously in regular mathematics, 0.25 is a quarter. Okay. How do we write a quarter? 1 divided by 4, 1 over 4. Okay. Again, yeah, 8:14. So this 8:25 at the start of Back to the Future, very interesting with the 8:14 reference back to 1.25, back to 8.25. Okay, or this 8:14. Okay, I really like that little decode there for the start of Back to the Future in this reference, especially when the skateboard smacks into the plutonium there under the bed. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it really means, but I do know that this Christmas is a special Christmas because 814, 8,140 days since 9/11. Yeah, since 2001, 9/11. I'm going to do a couple more little quick decodes on a couple of other number lines, okay, which I think you'll find fascinating. So again, this is quite complex stuff if you've just clicked onto the channel. It's actually not very complicated at all, but it takes a little bit to get your head wrapped around what I'm talking about here, okay? But again, bye bye Miss American Pie. You know, this is the total. This is the total here. The total for the song, 8 minutes 42. You know, very interesting stuff. I'm going to leave it there for this one instead of waffling on. I will tell you one more little thing as well. Is if you take and do, let me do this, 365.25 days, right? Divided by 1.48. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going to see how long, because this is one and a half days, right? How many lots of 1.5 days does it take, yeah, to kind of get back to the start again? I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but anyway, if we do that, it comes out at 246.79 years. Okay, so that's how many. So every year that you had, which was you were gaining 1.48 days every year, to get back to the start of that year would take 246.79 years. Okay, which is, I just thought this was interesting because obviously I don't know. I don't know anything about calculating where planets should be, when they should be, or any of that stuff. And obviously, there's going to be a difference with the sidereal, with the stars behind, measuring with the stars, the distant stars, as to measuring to where the sun is in relation to the Earth. Okay, and measuring the orbit that way, right? But you'll note that this is 247, not, you know, if we round it, it's 247, not 248. Okay, with the sidereal. So there's a year. I'm off a year here for some reason. Now, obviously, it's because it's, you know, if somebody was an expert, they would just tell me, well, it's because you're trying to do something that's, those two things don't interchange. Sidereal and synodic don't interchange. Well, whatever. But I just thought it was interesting. Okay. That it's actually, you know, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. 247 as well. So I'm gonna leave it there for this one because I was getting a bit waffly at the end there. But anyway, yeah, I'll catch on another one here very, very soon because I got two more lots of number sequences that I want to go through that are really, really interesting. Okay, so anyway, thanks for watching this one. I'll catch you on another one real soon. All right, cheers, bye.